That's definitely a dark chapter in my life. Amanda, who abandoned my brother, Michael and me, hasn't changed at all, even though it's been 5 years since we last met actually. However, a single sentence uttered by our father quickly drained the color from both their faces. My name is William. This year I turned 40 since graduating from university. I've been working at a general corporation lately. I've been handling responsible trading tasks and training newcomers, thinking about what more I can do for the company and living fulfilling days. However, it would be inaccurate to say that my life has always been smooth sailing from childhood until I left home. I was constantly compared to my brilliant brother, Michael, and led a troubled life. I think my own abilities are average. From an outsider's perspective, I wasn't exceptional in academics or sports, but managed to perform at an average level. However, since I was young, relatives always said, "Michael is better than you at." This was because my brother, Michael, had the ultimate package: good looks and brains. I've lost count of how many times I've heard, "Your brother is really amazing at everything." Compared to him, the younger one, being compared to my talented brother, was a daily occurrence for me. Initially, I tried desperately to catch up to him, but gradually my spirit hurt. As a child, I couldn't say that my brother and I were close. We hardly have any significant memories together. He always seemed pleased with himself, revving in being superior, while I was inferior. Come on, hand over that tour already. Since we were little, I can't remember how many times he took things from me. "Mom, Michael is taking my toys again." Even when I sought help from my parents, everyone seemed to side with Michael. He had always been good at ingratiating himself with those above him. That's probably why they never realized he was bullying me behind their backs. "If you're so upset, why don't you try taking it back with your own strength?" He would say this while looking down and laughing at me. Despite being favored most of the time, Michael never seemed to have a generous spirit. The only one who ever stood by me was our grandmother, with whom we lived. Whenever I received harsh words from my parents or was bullied by Michael, I would always go to my grandmother's room for comfort. "William is a kind child. Everything will be all right." My grandmother would always comfort me as I cried, often giving me sugar candies. The taste of my tears mixed with the sweetness of the candies in my mouth. "Grandma, these sugar candies are delicious." "That's good to hear. Come on, smile for me. Your smile suits you best, William." I always loved my grandmother's smile. As I grew older, I stopped crying, but I still spent a lot of time in my grandmother's room. Meanwhile, Michael smoothly passed his university entrance exams. He attended a prestigious high school, went to cram schools, and his mock exam results were always excellent. Eventually, he got into a top private university. As expected, the first time Michael faced a setback was 2 years later, when I got into a national university with a higher entrance standard than his. I have given up on many things about myself, but then I saw how thrilled our parents were with Michael's success at his first choice university. It made me wonder how they would feel if their son, who they had no expectations for, managed to get into a university above his abilities. I thought this might be a turning point in my life. As expected, Michael was furious and lashed out at me. "How dare you outshine me? It's insolent for someone like you." By then, our parents had started to notice Michael's bad temper and began treating me more equally. This probably irked him even more. "Hey, give up your university admission. It's unacceptable for you to surpass me." Despite being told that I didn't care and proceeded to enroll in college there, I met my ex-wife. Amanda was a classmate of mine, and we were close enough to join the same club. She was a very sociable person, liked by everyone at first. I was nervous being alone with Amanda, but she was charming and interesting to see to the time we spent together became enjoyable and our relationship deepened. Then, Amanda began to aggressively pursue me, sending daily messages and occasionally calling. She would invite me out for meals almost every week. I thought I was dreaming. One day on the way home, Amanda confessed her feelings to me. By that time, I think I had completely fallen for her. I vowed to cherish Amanda, who had always been by my side. When our relationship reached the 3-month mark, I invited her to my family home. It was her first visit, but she seemed to get along well with my brother and parents. My parents, in particular, took a liking to her, since she was good at winning people over. After dropping Amanda off at her house and returning home, I could clearly see that Michael was in a bad mood. It turned out he was upset that I had a girlfriend while he didn't. Well, a mediocre guy, like you would end up with someone like her, right? Though, his words ridiculed Amanda and boiled my blood. I knew arguing would only add fuel to the fire. I held back and just listened. Gradually, he started writing about himself, mentioning that he was being pursued by the daughter of Mr. Smith, the president of the company he worked for. I thought he should just date her instead of complaining to me, but it seemed they weren't quite there yet. Taking advantage of my listening, he began to say things like, "It's ridiculous that a guy like you has a girlfriend, and I don't." Michael's selfish words made me say that's just the way it is, but I could barely bear it. Since then, Michael often made snide remarks to me, which became quite tiresome. When I mentioned this to Amanda at our club, She became worried and inquired in detail about my brother's behavior. After some time, I happily married Amanda. Thanks to my diligent studies in college, I landed a job at a top company, and being a saver from a young age, I had a decent amount of savings. I thought I could now live happily ever after with Amanda. However, reality was not so sweet. Since we didn't cohabit before marriage, living together was a whole new experience for us, and we were still figuring things out. Meanwhile, one thing caught my attention. Amanda started coming home late. She would come home late at night on weekday and on weekends. She often went out for various reasons. During long weekends, she frequently went on trips with friends. Is your job really that busy that you come home late every day? Well, yes, I'm still a newcomer, so I can't leave before my seniors. Plus, I'm often invited to drinking parties. It can't be helped, right? Despite saying this, Amanda's late returns did not change. In fact, they seemed to worsen. She often returned home in the early hours of the morning. Additionally, when she was at home, she was constantly communicating with someone on her phone. She would laugh, show surprise or blush while looking at her cell phone. Seeing and always carrying her cell phone around, I started to feel a sense of unease. I wondered if it was normal to go to drinking parties so frequently. When I asked about the people she was drinking with, she never gave a clear answer, leading me to inevitably suspect something was amiss. Amanda, who are you going out drinking with every week? Are these really just work-rate drinking parties? Why do you care so much? I thought we agreed not to be controlling. I really can't stand it when someone questions me like this. Her angry response surprised me, but since I still loved her, I pretended not to mind and let it go. As the days went on, I found myself wanting to see my grandmother, and decided to visit my family home. I'm going to visit my parents for a bit. I mentioned this to Amanda, who was doing her makeup in the living room. She quickly turned around, surprised why I want to come too. I felt a bit uneasy about Amanda's reaction. We rarely spent holidays together. I've asked her out on dates several times, but she's always turned me down. Moreover, is it normal to be so eager to visit someone's family home like this? Feeling suspicious, I asked, Amanda, we're going to visit Grandma, right? I don't mind you coming along, but didn't you have something to do today? Oh, I want to meet your grandma. To my plans weren't that important, so it's fine. I'll get ready. Just wait a bit. Despite my suspicions about Amanda's unusually cheerful demeanor, I was looking forward to catching up with my grandmother, whom I hadn't seen in a while. Upon arriving at the family home, instead of heading to my grandmother's room with me, Amanda sat down in the living room and stopped dead, using her phone. Aren't you coming to Grandma's room with me? Not now. You go talk to Grandma, she replied, after being told. So I headed to my grandmother's room. After chatting for a while, I became curious about Amanda's behavior and decided to return to the living room there. I was shocked to see my brother and Amanda embracing each other. To my utter disbelief, there was my brother embracing Amanda. My mind went completely blank and I was so stunned that I couldn't even cry. Michael, Amanda, what's going on here? I demanded furiously. Initially, they both had a look of regret on their faces, but this soon changed to an expression of annoyance and they became defiant. It's okay, isn't it? We were planning to tell you eventually. Let's just say it today. Amanda said this as she wrapped her arm around Michael's. Tell me, what do you mean? I'm dating Michael, so I can't be with you anymore, she confessed. That's right. Of course, she'd choose me over you, Michael said with a smirk. Seeing his smug face, I felt a surge of anger building up inside me. Amanda must have been after my brother from the beginning. Even today, everything clicked. They had been mocking me all along. You said you were going on a trip with friends. Was that with Michael? Yes, at that time, we really were just friends. But thanks to meeting you, I met Michael. I am grateful for that. Watching Amanda gaze at Michael with adoration, I felt nothing but disgust. While I was working hard, Amanda must have been spending time with Michael. So you admit to cheating? That means we'll have to get a divorce if you liked my brother all along. Why did you marry me? Shut up. I never liked you to begin with. Why should I have to explain myself? She retorted harshly, her shocking words left me speechless, and Amanda continued, retire, Aid. I was still in your back then. You work for a top company, right? But when I heard Michael was starting his own company, I decided to follow him. Being a CEO's wife sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Amanda explained. As I listened to the story of how she and Michael became close, I reflected on our past encounters. Indeed, Amanda always seemed happier when she was with Michael. It all made sense now. She was always eager to hear about him. Even though she married me, she had been seeing him on the side. I couldn't even tell if the person in front of me was the same Armand I had fallen in love with. I had always been compared to my brother, and overlooked. Even our toys and games were monopolized by him. To think, the first woman who I thought recognized me, was comparing me with my brother all along. Well, say something. Are you upset? It's ridiculous for you to be happier than me. That's why I decided to make an of mine. The moment I first met her, Michael boasted. So their relationship had been going on. Even when I was engaged to her. Michael is better looking. And he buys me whatever I want. Plus, he's starting a company. So, obvious lie. He's the better choice. Amanda justified. Michael is better. A phrase I've heard countless times before. But never has it hurt this much. I bit my lip. Hard. Holding back my emotions is love. Really about buying someone whatever they want. The two of you were laughing at me all along, weren't you? There's no need to yell. It was obvious from the start, so it can't be helped. Amanda replied, dismissively enough. I'm going to tell our parents and your parents about this. Call them here. Now let's get Grandma involved too. We should discuss this together. I insisted at this. The two of them started to panic. Do we really need to involve the parents? Can we just talk this out? The three of us. Why should I have to discuss this in a one-on-two situation with Amanda and Michael? Besides, if we're talking about divorce, it's inevitable to involve the parents. If we're going to divorce, it's better to discuss it together. Or should I call them? Fine, I'll call them, Amanda said. Reluctantly, Amanda grudgingly contacted the parents. And soon, a discussion ensued involving her parents. Mine and my grandmother, who was in her room during the discussion. Amanda's unabashed attitude made it seem as if she was thrilled to be with the person she loved. Beyond the affair and the fact that it was my brother. Did she go on trips and come back, bro? To me, this must be what they mean by being in La Land first. I explained the situation. My parents were speechless, unable to believe that their beloved son, Michael, could do such a thing. Especially my mom, who had always doted on him since we were kids, seemed deeply shocked. Surprisingly, at this point, Amanda somewhat assisted me. The person I loved was your brother. So, what William said is mostly true. My destiny was with Michael, she admitted. Michael nodded. In agreement, they must have decided on this defiant approach together. It was actually convenient for me as it saved me the effort of convincing our parents. What shocked me more were the words of Amanda's mother. Let's not worry everyone. They are still young and should be free to love who they want. We don't mind whether it's the older brother or the younger one, as long as Amanda is happy, she said. Amanda's father nodded in agreement, taking advantage of his parents' absurd stance. Michael began to speak arrogantly. Amanda and I were destined to be together, and obviously, I am far superior to my brother. She realized that, and that's why this isn't Amanda's fault, but rather my brother's inadequacy. He declared his nonsense. Didn't stop there. When Amanda reciprocated my feelings, I was overjoyed. William doesn't understand the happiness of having her by his side. It's clear that I can cherish her more than he ever could. He continued. Amanda's parents were moved by his words, mistaking this affair for some kind of touching story. To my amazement, Michael continued to spin this narrative of a love story. While I stood there in shock, my parents were silent, not knowing how to react. It must have been a shock for them too. That's when my grandmother's angry voice filled the room. Do you two have any idea what you've done? The room fell into a hushed silence, normally gentle and kind. My grandmother's anger was far more fearsome than my father's. No one dared to speak. Listen, are you two really going to support these heartless people? If so, I'll leave this house with William, she declared. Spurred by these words, my parents seemed to snap back to reality, and my dad spoke with a firm tone. Having a relationship with your own brother's wife is inexcusable. I will never accept it if you divorce William, and then marry this woman. Our relationship as father and son is over. What are you talking about, Dad? Stop joking, Michael retorted. I'm not joking. You brought this upon yourself, my dad replied. Sternly, Michael was at a loss for words. Under our dad's harsh stance, my mom, looking straight at Michael, did not defend him. I'm pied for being disowned by my own dad. Michael lied. I was astonished at his words. It's understandable. He's shocked to hear that from our dad. But it's just like him to only think of himself in this situation. And then Amanda sided with Michael. It's too much. I intended to divorce William anyway, so that's fine. But cutting ties with Michael is terrible, she complained. Both my parents and I thought it was they who were awful. Amanda's mother was nodding tearfully. In agreement, Michael, responding to our dad's words, turned to our parents and declared, so Dad and Mom are siding with William, the son who was always inferior. I'll cut tea with you, then, as long as I have Amanda. I don't need anyone else. He stormed out with Amanda hand in hand, leaving us speechless. Amanda's parents apologized and left soon after. My parents apologized to me. We're sorry for not believing you sooner. We just couldn't imagine it. And it was wrong to always compare you to Michael when you were kids, they said, regretfully. My mom tearfully apologized to me. You turned out to be a wise and upright person. Despite being born into a family with such parents and a brother like that, she said, there's no need for you to apologize, Dad. I'm sorry for causing such a disgraceful dispute among siblings, I replied. Their apology made me feel emotional, and I started to cry. Seeing me cry, my parents also shed tears. It was one of the worst feelings I had ever experienced. My grandmother, smiling, told me you did well, I felt the barrier I had always sensed between my parents and me disappear, clearing the awkwardness of my heart. That was the one good thing to come out of this. I was grateful to my brother and Amanda for improving my relationship with my parents. Eventually, Amanda and I successfully divorced, but she and Michael disappeared without a trace. Neither my parents nor I cared about them anymore. When the story faded from everyone's memory, the two showed up at my parents' house. 5 years have passed since the divorce. By then, my grandmother's health had deteriorated due to rage, and she was in and out of the hospital. When I opened the door to the sound of the doorbell, there stood Michael and Amanda hand in hand. Seeing Michael alone would have been one thing, but I was genuinely surprised to see Amanda with them. It's been a while, hasn't it? Still a loser, I see. Michael mocked. Oh, you're still breathing. Looking at you again. I can't believe I married such a dull person. What? A dark history. Amanda sneered, and they both laughed at me. Saying that, they looked at me and laughed together. I thought about retorting, but it seemed silly to take them seriously, so I ignored them. Then, they just took off their shoes and came into their house soon after. My dad came out and raised his voice at the two of them who were making themselves at home in the living room. Now, what brings you here? After all this time, you're no longer my son, so just leave. Although Dad said that, Michael insisted. He just wanted to make a report. Dad, I married Amanda. I came today to tell you that I wanted to let you know that taking your place, Amanda and I will be happy together. Michael spoke with a dreamy look on his face, and there was Amanda with a smug expression. These two hadn't changed at all in 5 years. Dad must have been thinking the same thing as he let out a big sigh. I see. I've told you many times. You're no longer my son. I have no intention of celebrating your marriage. Well, that's fine. I just wanted to report also dead. How's Grandma? How's her health been lately? I thought he came to ask about our grandmother who had been hospitalized due to illness. Dad, somewhat softened by this question, replied more kindly. Grandma's the same as always. Her illness isn't getting better, but it's not worsening either. Don't worry. Not that. I mean, what about her inheritance? Grandma has a considerable amount, and I heard some of it was supposed to come to me. Could I possibly get my share now as a gift during her lifetime? I was stunned. It turned out that the real reason for his visit wasn't the marriage announcement. That was just a side note. His main goal was Grandma's inheritance. However, I was puzzled because Michael, who started his own company at a young age, shouldn't be struggling financially. I asked him directly, you need money that badly? Well, that's... Michael started to stammer. Watching this, Dad delivered the final blow. Actually, there's no inheritance left for you guys. Grandma's inheritance has already been given away as a lifetime gift to the hardworking couple. William, what did you just say? Couple. Wait, Sarah, as my wife, Sarah, whom she had called, appeared. Michael collapsed to his knees. That's because she was the daughter of the president of the company where Michael used to work. She was also the woman he had been hopelessly in love with. What do you mean? Are you really married? Oh, long time. No. See, since when did I become the one who was dumped by you? The woman who smiles so brightly is now my wife. Even in front of Michael and Amanda, Sarah stands confidently and impressively. When Sarah speaks, Michael is visibly shaken. She and I were originally mates, and got along well. She was even there to support me, compassionately, during my messy divorce. We started dating after my divorce was finalized, but it was a month later when I realized she was the one Michael had feelings for. It became clear when we talked about Sarah's love life. I had a hunch, and it turned out to be true at the time. Michael boasted, as if he had been the one to end things. But the truth was that, despite his earnest efforts, Sarah was not said at all. I didn't talk much about my brother, so it took me a while to notice. However, normally one would hesitate to date their brother's ex, so I was prepared to be rejected. But she cheerfully smiled and said, this William is William. It doesn't matter who your brother is. Sure, if you were arrogant, like Michael, I'd dislike it, but as long as it's you, William, I want to be with you forever. Sarah, whom he had once been deeply smitten with, and I were married, seemed to have dealt a significant shock to Michael. Seeing his reaction, Amanda too started to sense the unusual tension and began to panic. Then, Sarah, adding insult to injury, turned to Amanda and said, nice to meet you. Actually, Michael once pursued me, but he was so selfish, self-centered, and, frankly, not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I found it. Doesn't that bother you? Hearing this, Michael clenched his lips, his face, a picture of indescribable bitterness. Even through his tears, Michael started talking about the inheritance. Again, just give me all of Grandma's inheritance already. About that, as I was about to explain, Sarah cut me off. Actually, we have a baby on the way. It's what you'd call a shotgun wedding. We were just discussing how it's going to be expensive and challenging. Then Grandma said, William has already suffered enough because of her no-good brother. I can't let her struggle financially too. So, she decided to give us her inheritance. Originally, there was talk of running a will for later, but since Sarah's pregnancy came to light, we needed the money right away. That's why Grandma is giving us a living inheritance. By the way, I heard those two need money urgently. As well, what happened? Could it be that something's gone wrong with the company? Michael started. I feel like I've just rubbed salt into the wound. Apparently, the company went bankrupt and they're drowning in debt. They came to our place, eyeing Grandma's inheritance. Hearing this, my dad spoke quietly. So it's true, what goes around comes around. Anyway, we don't have any money to lend you to. You're just reaping what you sowed with. Well, William, that's all there is to it. How can you say that Michael is your son too? How can you not help your own son in such trouble? Outsiders, please stay out of this. My mom interjected. I know it's hard to say this under these circumstances, but I'm actually glad you two came back. Amanda and Michael, you both made William go through so much. I talked to our family lawyer, Michael, using my connections. He said that it's only right for William to receive alimony due to the divorce. My mom's words must have sounded like a lifeline to my brother. Relieved, they listened intently to her. Amanda and Michael, because of you two, Williams suffered a lot after consulting Michael. He said, it's only fair that William receives alimony. Their faces drained of color as they understood what my mom meant. It's a tough situation, but that's separate. Make sure you pay William the alimony. My mom's voice rose in excitement as she spoke, stunned by my parents' scolding. The two of them blinked, rapidly, trembling and speechless. I didn't ask for alimony when I divorced Amanda. I just didn't have the heart for it and wanted to distance myself from them. But later, my mom suggested I claim alimony. After seeing my brother and his wife trying to explore even Grandma's money, I decided to go through with it. You'll hear from Michael soon. We'll discuss the rest through them. With those final words for me, they left, shakily, making their way out. Thanks to Grandma's living inheritance, Sarah and I have been able to lead a comfortable and happy life. Sarah jiggles work, while diligently taking care of the household and our child. Every day, we had a baby girl. She's a spitting image of Sarah, a beauty in the making. It feels like we have two angels at home, which makes work even more rewarding. I've just been promoted. My parents often come over to play with their granddaughter. They bring toys, which is nice, but hey, Sarah laughs. We're running out of space to put them. My brother and ex-wife went off the radar again. After that, the only time we heard from them was when they shamelessly came begging for money. Please, I'm begging you, can you lend us some money? Even just a little. Michael knelt at the doorstep without a hint of shame. I crouched down to meet his eyes. Michael, do you really need a loan that badly? His eyes lit up, but I had to tell him the hard truth. Sorry, but I can't lend you the money. If you need money, you should find a part-time job or figure something out on your own. The same words he always used to say to me as a kid. He left red-faced and biting his lip, a clear sign that he remembered those words too. Since then, they haven't come to our place or even visited our parents' home. They might be relying on Amanda's family now, but either way, they are probably living a tough life. As for me, I'm enjoying a happy life with Sarah and our daughter. Grandma, we're here to visit. Oh, my, how adorable Grandma, who had been feeling low, her worked up with the birth of her great-granddaughter. She's a good girl, just like William. Grandma spoke to our daughter with a smile. Sarah and I watched this heartwarming scene, cherishing the happiness of being surrounded by our loved ones.